Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Smut Club, the podcast where smut is better with friends. And
yes,
we have one single doggy friend.
we have a high contrast pup, as I call her.
She's perfect.
Her name, we've said many times, her name is Ellie, but her Christian name given at baptism at her christening,
Right.
in her christening dress with her little cap. The priest christened her Sweet Eleanor So Precious.
Rigby.
So that was what we thought. We thought, like, this is going to be her personality.
Mm-hmm.
It was bequeathed to her by her predecessor, my golden retriever, Sweet Zoe So Precious.
Correct.
Whomst I named at 14. Little known fact, Zoe was named after her mother, Sweet Buttercup So Precious. So, backstory not needed.
A long line of So Precious.
But Sweet So Precious is like the AKC. That's just how they're registered. We love it. So, Eleanor, though, then as she developed into the illustrious young woman that she is, she became so bitchy in every sense of the word.
Well,
As a compliment. And so she just has a resting face of she doesn't care.
well, she's very mournful. She looks like she has just lost her husband. He's been gone at war for many years.
Exactly.
She's got a scarf over her head.
She's looking to the sea,
wondering when will her husband return from war.
She appears as if her heart has been freshly broken at every hour of the day.
At every
but
hour.
then broken every hour on the hour. And so it's just, she lives in a perpetual state of mourning.
Yeah, she's just sorrowful.
She has a deeply sorrowful
But she's just the
essence.
happiest dog. She's so happy.
But it's so funny
her
because
little butt wiggles so fast. She just has these mournful eyes.
she's just she is a pup of juxtapositions.
Yes.
And so very early on in her lifetime, we started calling her Eleanor Rigby after the Beatles song.
Rigby.
Because it is a song about a very sad woman.
Yes.
Eleanor Rigby is certainly that. So she is our friend
Yes.
today.
She's the friend today.
She sure is. So y'all, welcome. We hope you've listened to last week's episode, The Short and Spicy, where we, yet again,
In a twist that nobody saw coming.
nobody anticipated this being the subject of this episode. But yeah, we covered, again, unprecedented, we covered the Torture Poets Department.
Yes.
Our actual not live react, but our reaction post
Actually
release.
knowing what the songs are.
Exactly. It was really special.
So go listen to that. There's also a hilarious Reddit story about furry erotica at the end.
There sure
that you can
is.
jump over to if you want to listen to that.
Friends, you heard us correctly. Furry erotica.
Now, we don't read furry erotica. It is about furry erotica. We do educate ourselves a little bit on some vocabulary that we did not know.
in live time, yes. And so we don't kink shame here on the pod, but if you're curious, if you haven't listened to the Short and Spicy, that's a great one. If you're Swiftie curious and if you're furry erotica curious, that is at the end of the episode.
Yes.
So yeah. Kitty Bird, how you doing here at the end of April?
If you are in public education, you are just so well aware that the end of the school year is hell on earth.
I think if you have children in education,
Yeah.
if you're attached in any way to the education system at the end of April into May,
It is hell on earth.
hellacious.
We have this like big whiteboard in our mailroom where people will just write like fun questions that you can write answers to. And like the one that's been up there for a while is another name for the end of the school year. And people are writing the Great Depression, the Great War, like just
Death.
Everyone is just miserable.
Yes, it's a high stress time. Lots of testing. Yeah,
Yep.
it's not for the faint of heart. How have you been staying encouraged? How have you been keeping your walk with the Lord straight?
Oh, how have I been taking care of myself?
How have you been taking care of yourself lately? Wellness check.
Well, I have been crying in my office. Door closed.
Excellent. Under the disco ball.
Yes. I have been getting irrationally angry with my partner for things that are not his fault.
As an objective outsider, I'm sure that it was his fault.
It was.
Today I got angry with Jay because he was getting dressed in the same room as I was.
Get away from me.
Yeah, and he said I was hot. And that was pretty upsetting to me.
Yeah.
And so I took a quick 180 and really expressed my anger.
Yes. Yes. We had a similar conversation where he said, "You just look so much nicer than I do." And I was like, "I'm just wearing an athletic dress." As if that was a direct attack. He was trying to tell me I looked nice, and
Same.
I wanted to punch him in the throat.
I think my exact quote was, "I do not want an audience for getting dressed today." And that was pretty mean for me, for my specific brand of,
Yes.
of positivity in this world. So, all of that to say, yes, I think that maybe A potentially did deserve some of this.
So, all in all, I'm really handling it pretty well.
You're handling it beautifully. That's excellent. I have thoroughly enjoyed having the entirety of the Tortured Poets department and just kind of infusing that energy into my day-to-day.
Yes, I will say, if you are already feeling sad, Torture Poets department will not make you feel happier.
Sure won't.
You'll just be swirling around in those feelings, which is fine. You're welcome to do that, and I have been doing that. And like today, we literally were texting in our group chat, and Savannah had sent a video of Taylor and Travis at an auction. And
Angels.
I was like, I am so grateful to see this morning, because I have just been like drowning in like, how dare someone ever do this to anyone?
Exactly. How dare they?
I'm ready to murder all men because of it. But
an appropriate response.
yes, but Taylor is fine. Everything is fine. It has worked out.
Taylor is A-okay. Yeah, and so, you know who else is A-okay? Stella in the Kiss Quotient.
Correct.
Seamless segue, friends.
We're famous for him here on the Smut
We
Club.
really are. That is one of the many, many things we do excellently well. But this week we are reviewing The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang.
One of my faves, OG smut. It's probably one of the first like smut books that I read when I first got into reading smut again.
I think that this was really, I imagine this was many people's gateway drug into smut. This is such a beautiful, I don't know, it's still popular to this day. People are still reading it.
It's yummy.
Yes, on Goodreads we have 439,000 ratings.
Holy shit.
The average is 3.9.
Okay.
So
Almost
I
four is
mean,
pretty good.
Yeah, and 47,000 reviews. So
Yeah.
Since 2018. This is the Goodreads Choice of 2018 winner. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, 4 stars I think is pretty solid. I think that the writing is a little juvenile at some points.
For sure.
But I like it.
Yeah, we're not complaining.
It is easy to read.
This you will breeze right through.
Yeah.
Breeze right on through. This is the book description, friends and family, on Goodreads. Shall I read it in my Goodreads voice?
The breathy voice.
The breathy,
with it.
the breathy, smutty voice. A heartwarming and refreshing debut novel that proves one thing. There's not enough data in the world to predict what will make your heart tick. There's really not.
And we're passionate about data on this podcast.
We are here for the data. For science.
Yeah, for science.
Women in STEM.
Correct.
Stella Lane thinks math is the only thing that unites the universe. You know what? Plot twist. Actually, it's sex.
And that's the plot of this book. Not really.
Sex is what unites the universe.
Math, I don't think unites the universe. I don't like math. Shocking.
I'm curious if our listeners are women in STEM. If they, I mean, you can be a woman in STEM and not love the M.
True.
I love the A. I love the STEAM.
I love the STEM and the arts. I like the arts portion of that.
I appreciate the science and the arts.
Yeah, that's true. I guess my bachelor's is in science. I had a master's of science. Whatever.
I have a master's and a bachelor's in science.
Yeah.
We applied our research.
That's right.
Stella Lane thinks math is the only thing that unites the universe. She comes up with algorithms to predict customer purchases. A job that has given her more money than she knows what to do with.
No, I know what to do with it.
Lord, let it be. Lord, let it be me.
Be a fence.
Jesus, be a fence.
Around my bank account.
No, but really. I know what to do with money.
Oh, I'm so good at spending it.
I'm actually, we together, united.
Give me a credit card and a list.
We're pretty adept.
I can get so much fucking done with a credit card. I can solve so many problems.
I can feel really great. Yeah, and this is, I mean, I don't know. As a mental health professional, I'm like, be careful, be mindful of your spending, but also spending's pretty fun.
True.
Spending can bring us a lot of joy.
If retail therapy not real, why make it feel better?
If retail therapy not good, then why feel so good?
Why make feel good?
Why make feel good?
Answer that, therapist.
Therapist of the world, chime in. There are never any consequences for buying a whole bunch of shit. Okay, a job that has given her more money than she knows what to do with. She figured out what to do with it.
Oh, we did. To the tune of $50,000.
She sure did. And way less experiment. Oh, okay. Sorry, I lost my place. And way less experience in the dating department than the average 30-year-old. Well, that's because she's only slept with idiots.
Correct. That was a bummer to read.
That was sexual assault. I guess we should give some trigger warnings. We'll do that after this review. It doesn't help that Stella has Asperger's, and French kissing reminds her of a shark getting its teeth cleaned by a pilot fish. Niche reference. Also, update.
We don't use that term anymore.
We don't, because, and there are some folks I've heard who actually liked that, and that's a-okay. I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing to say, but it is under the autism. We use autism spectrum disorders now.
Correct. It is a spectrum of sensory processing.
Yes. And so if y'all are ever curious, or if you know someone and love someone who are in the neurospicy umbrella, the autism spectrum disorders is a more inclusive way to view the spectrum.
Exactly.
The spectrum is not a line. It is actually more like
it's like a circle.
It's like a circle.
And we're all on this circle somewhere.
Yes, but the individual experience is all in and out. So there's such a beautiful, this is written in 2018. And this is, y'all, I do not know everything there is to know about neurodiversity. I did work in special education for many years. I have an ADHD diagnosis and I'm a therapist. So I know something. And you also work extensively with IEPs and 504s. And so we swim in this.
I swim in a lot of our... Yes. Very familiar with the spectrum disorders across the board.
Yes. And we bring a very affirming, equality-oriented lens to the podcast if this is your first time listening. So, yeah, we're gonna integrate some of that because that's important. But this Helen Hoang touches on this really beautifully. But... yes. Anyway, she is speaking from experience, which we'll get to. But yes, we don't say Asperger's anymore. She does say that extensively in here. The DSM-5 was written in, when was it published? 2019?
Yeah, 2019, 2020.
So we are not endorsing the DSM-5. It's actually problematic on a lot of levels, but...
DSMs in general.
We have big feelings about diagnosis.
Anytime you try to put any kind of label on someone's experience with the world is tricky. However,
a whole bunch of white men in suits.
Unfortunately, you do have to have the code to get any kind of medical support.
Exactly.
So just because you've been labeled with something doesn't necessarily mean that you fall into that specific category. You just need the medications for it.
Diagnosis is tricky. It's super individual. Mm-hmm. It's super individual. And especially, so that in that sense, we do appreciate that the autism spectrum disorders has widened into a broader lens. So maybe that's something the DSM-5 is getting right. But I don't know, y'all, if you have thoughts and feelings, push back. Speak to it. We love these conversations. This is, maybe not what the podcast is for, but it's incorporated. I've enjoyed the intersections of sexuality as a sensory experience and autism spectrum disorders. Autism.
Yeah.
Shall we say autism? It's not always a disorder.
Yeah. And also at the end, in her acknowledgement section, she talks about Asperger's and autism and her experience, because the author is also diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And her experience using the label Asperger's was because she was a female identified person who was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, and it looks different in girls. And so
it sure does.
The Asperger's label comes from what we used to call high functioning, which is a different way of just masking.
Yeah, it's a different way of masking.
Yeah.
Great explanation. Yeah, it's a different functioning is not something we really That's not a very strengths-based way that we talk about it now.
Yeah.
But that is how folks, I mean, I believe in letting folks define their own experience. But
I often find that I'm low functioning.
yeah, if we're going to bring those terms in, I'm often quite low functioning, actually.
I'm tired.
I'm struggling to function, period.
Yeah.
But so anyway, we're going to bring in lots of themes here with this beautiful book. She does a gorgeous job speaking to these points. But okay, sorry, that was quite the caveat.
Anyway,
back to the review. The special ed teacher in the room is like, oh my God.
let's talk about this
Let
right
me
now.
speak on this. Okay. Her conclusion: she needs lots of practice with a professional, which is why she hires an expert. Escort Michael Fawn. I think it's Fawn.
Yeah. He, well, his real name's Larsen. She gives him,
That's right,
or he gives a fake name. But yeah, his family's Vietnamese.
We incorporate lots of beautiful little family moments with Vietnamese culture, which is really playful and hilarious.
And there's a lot of words in here that I cannot pronounce because I don't speak Vietnamese, so I will not even attempt.
The grandmother's name, I'm like, that looks beautiful. She is such a fun character. I am not going to. We could learn. We could pull it up and learn. But yes, we will refer to her as the grandmother. I just don't want to say it
incorrectly,
respectfully.
So, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, y'all, if y'all know how to pronounce these correctly, chime in because we want to include that. But the Vietnamese and Swedish stunner can't afford to turn down Stella's offer and agrees to help her check off all the boxes on her lesson plan, from foreplay to more than missionary position. Before long, Stella not only learns to appreciate his kisses, but to crave all the other things he's making her feel. Straight out the gate, she's obsessed.
It's hot.
It's quite hot. Mm-hmm. Soon, their no-nonsense partnership starts making a strange kind of sense. And the pattern that emerges will convince Stella that love is the best kind of logic.
That's cute.
Super cute. Okay, I rated this 5 stars back in the day. Or one of us did.
Did we?
Apparently.
Good for us.
Good for us. So we can edit that. We can change that if we'd like. So listeners, we're going to do something fun here today where our review that we are putting on Goodreads, we are going to do a good old fashioned acrostic,
which I just learned this word.
You knew this word deep in the recesses of your mind. We have all done this. Okay, so kiss quotient, vertical.
Yes.
K, how would we describe this? First letter K.
Kissing. This is super professional.
I.
In. I'm making a sentence, so I don't know where it's going.
Okay. S. Steamy.
Sure, yes.
Kissing in steamy. S.
Showers.
Showers?
I think they do.
They don't do it in the shower.
That's true, she wouldn't.
Steamy situations.
I
can see you. We're pulled into closets and situations.
That's right.
Kissing in steamy situations.
That's kiss.
Okay. Next letter. Q.
Quickly.
Is this going to make a sentence? Or is this a whole new... Okay, very good. Quickly. U. Under.
Ooh, I was going to say undressing.
Undressing. Quickly undressing. O.
On.
I was going to say hour. Quickly undressing on, though, would be even more explicit. Quickly undressing on T, and then the next one is I.
Okay. The inside.
It's IE. On the interesting
engineer.
She's an econometrist.
Econometrician.
She's an econometrician. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Quickly undressing on the interesting econometricians NT.
NT. New trysts.
We're bringing in, take a shot. Tryst is used in one of Taylor's songs.
That's right. How I long for our trysts.
How I long for our trysts. So this makes so much logical sense. Kissing in steamy situations. Quickly undressing on the interesting econometrician's new trysts.
Yeah.
That is what we have to say.
That's our review.
That is our review, because here's the thing. This is an excellent work of smutty fiction. Do we have anything else to add to that?
It's great. Reverse Pretty Woman.
It's Reverse Pretty Woman.
Teach me. I love it.
All right, Katie Bird, that is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. That is what we've decided is our review. We're going to get more into why we stand by our review of this of this incredible work of fiction.
Yes. I do love this book. I have a lot of notes. I've read it a couple times, actually.
Same. So, yeah, I read it a couple years ago, and then I read it a couple years ago at the same time. And then, reread it for this.
The rereadability is strong with this one.
It holds up, which is saying something. There are many smut that I'm not going to reread.
Well, there's a lot where I'll, like, read until the point, like, until the best sex scene is over, and then I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
I got what I wanted.
Couldn't care less. Yeah, but no, this one holds up.
Yeah. Okay, so as always, I've got some highlights, and we'll jump in here.
Yes.
So on page 1, this is Stella's parents talking to her, and they're saying to her, "I know you hate surprises, Stella. In the interest of communicating our expectations and providing you a reasonable timeline, you should know we are ready for grandchildren."
Interesting.
As a mostly neurotypical person, hearing that at dinner, I would probably lose my ever-loving mind.
Unleash, actually.
I would be enraged.
I mean, that was... that's problematic for anyone to hear and for anyone to say. I appreciated how this mom, Stella's mom, is pretty... And by appreciated, I mean that so sarcastically. Because Stella's mom is one of the most ableist people.
Oh my God.
I've read about. Aggressively ableist.
Oh, it was horrible to read.
That was upon this reread. That was pretty uncomfortable to reread.
Yeah.
And so, I guess maybe a trigger warning for microaggressions for those who are neurodiverse and would find it super offensive because, and Helen Hoang is like making a point here. Mm-hmm. She's like, this is the kind of shit people do.
And this is her experience,
and
for
this
sure.
is correct. And I was having this conversation with a client a few weeks ago that like parents of folks with disabilities are sometimes, or folks with different identities are sometimes the most ableist folks.
It's almost like an overcorrection because
yes, it is.
Like you don't like want to believe that there's something quote unquote wrong with your kid, and so you're like, well, clearly all of this, you don't have a boyfriend because of your autism. That's why. It's like, that's not exactly what's happening here.
It's really gross. And even like the sensory aspects of trying to desensitize her and like, So trigger warning if that, I mean, it was pretty cringy for me to read. I was like, oh, this is really, really aggressive and rude.
Yeah. Some other trigger warnings. There's one forced kiss. Well, there's one and then almost another one, but Michael takes care of the second one.
Sure does.
And then the other like sexual encounters that she has, I don't know if they happen on page, but she describes what they were like, and it is not 100% consensual.
Yeah, she doesn't go into like graphic descriptions necessarily, but I also think that this is true to the experience of folks under the neurodiversity umbrella because they're like, I don't enjoy this. But
I'm supposed to.
Yeah. And I guess I should just let this person have their way with me and let this be over. It was really beautiful how Michael, our MMC, MMC?
Yeah.
Yes. How he was very clear in, hey, that is completely wrong. Like,
right.
If you are not ready and if this is not an enthusiastic yes, then it's a no, and anyone who disrespects that, like that's not okay.
Right. She was not actively telling him no, but she was like, her body was locked down. She was clearly not happy.
Yeah.
And he was like, people should not be having sex with you if this is what you're like. This is not okay.
Like, that's an immediate back off.
Yeah.
That's an immediate no.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to say it with words if someone's clearly not. Yeah. So that, I feel like that Helen Hoang handles it in a really beautiful way, but it's there.
It's there.
She talks about it. But yes, so Stella's mom is not my favorite person.
Yes.
But she's saying, I want grandchildren. Wanted to let you know.
You want to hang out with kids? Go be a fucking mentor. Like Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
We
not a sponsor, but we would like to sponsor them, actually.
Yes, we would love to sponsor them. Yes. So there's so many ways to, if you're ready for grandchildren, that's so cool. It sounds like you'd like to spend some time with some young people.
So many opportunities for you to do that.
There really are.
I can give you so many resources.
As someone who works with children,
yeah, I have so many resources for you to go like pour into some kids.
Actually, that's a beautiful desire. Go do that.
Yeah.
Then we're not going to force that onto other people because that would be their full-time life.
Right.
That's inappropriate. But yeah, just a little microaggression there.
Yeah. More of Stella's mom on the next page. You're getting complacent, Stella. If you stop challenging yourself, you're not going to make any more improvement with your social skills. That reminds me, are there any coworkers at your company who you'd like to date? Her father set down his newspaper and folded his hands over his rounded belly. Yes, what about that fellow, Philip James? When we met him at your last company get-together, he seemed nice enough. Her mother's hand fluttered to her mouth like pigeons homing in on breadcrumbs. Oh, why didn't I think of him? He was so polite and easy on the eyes, too. He's okay, I guess. Stella ran her fingertips over the condensation on her water glass. To be honest, she'd consider Philip. He was conceited and abrasive. Great. Yeah. But he was a direct speaker, and she really liked that in people. I think he has several personality disorders.
That's one of our favorite lines.
Her mother patted Stella's
That's confirmed later.
Oh, yes. Clearly. Her mother patted Stella's hand. Instead of putting it back in her lap when she was done, she rested over Stella's knuckles. Maybe he'll be a good match for you then, dear. With issues of his own to overcome, he might be more understanding of your Asperger's.
Oh, that's not how that works.
Also,
nope.
Personality disorder and autism are two extremely fucking different things.
Oh, they really are.
It is not the same.
Those are not the same things.
No.
And Stella's mom just lumped those two together. Yeah. Really aggressive. Really not okay.
That's not microaggression. That's just an aggression.
That's just aggression.
Yeah.
To your own child. Ugh. Yeah. I read that on the reread, and it hit different this time, and I was like, oh my God, no. Not okay.
Yeah.
Also, like, any parent who encourages you to be with someone who's unsafe, who's not just disrespectful and
that's not okay. I mean, clearly, like, Helen Hoang is setting this up for you to like really understand, like, she has been told to hide this part of herself because she doesn't tell Michael that she has a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, and he has to find out later from someone else.
Yes.
And so
it would have been really helpful for him to
yeah. And so her parents have basically been like, this is not something you share with people. This is something that you keep locked away. You hide it. You act normal. You clench your fists. Like,
so shameful. So unnecessary. And I mean, even since 2018, like, I'm so glad the conversations have changed so much around neurodiversity. Like, but yes, this is unfortunately super common. This is how folks, this is how folks approach neurodiversity quite often. And what stands out, especially as you continue to read about Stella, is that she is a delight. She's not too much. These are not special needs. These are just human needs.
She has, like,
she's a person.
She doesn't like when seams rub her skin. I don't either.
Same. The tag on this skirt is like, can I cut this out?
I literally had,
These are
like,
normal.
for my lake pajamas, I had cut the tag out of the shorts because it was touching my back in a way that I didn't like.
Yeah. That's just a normal, and, like, not to appropriate, because, like, folks have with autism, there's a much more extreme. It is a spectrum, exactly. And so, but yeah, like, this is her experience.
Yes, you have human needs that need to be met, and
these are human needs, and that is a-okay. And Michael is ready and willing to meet them.
Yes,
but he wanted to know.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, page 3. I guess I'm just going page by page. I had a lot to say at the beginning of this book.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, same. It really straight out the gate is like, oh dear God, no.
Yeah, and we will probably bring this in some more later too, but Ashley has a son who's diagnosed early on with autism spectrum disorder.
Yes.
And so we've had a lot of experiences for developing an IEP for him and getting him into a preschool that's supportive. And it's important for people to have access to education that is supportive of their needs.
Early intervention is so, I mean, hopefully, ideally in a healthy system, it is so affirming and so, like, let's get support you need early on so that you don't have to go through the trauma of not having your needs met for many years and then getting a diagnosis and then trying to, like, let's meet the needs appropriately at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's such a gift.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he went from being nonverbal to now talking in full sentences using words like that I can't pronounce, like dinosaur names. So, I mean, if you have early intervention with supportive educational accommodations, then
They can thrive.
Yeah, you can unlock some pretty cool stuff. Like
It's
a kid
really
who can say
important.
words that I've never heard before.
Exactly. It's really important that folks, it's a basic human right, actually, that folks have access to the whatever interventions are most supportive for them, because learning is a basic human right.
Exactly.
Education is important. So, yes, we have many folks on many levels. It was sweet to read through this, like in the healing parts where Stella and Michael were close, because I thought this is healing to hear about.
Yes. Okay, on page 3. No matter what Stella did, she was always a few steps short of being successful in her mother's eyes, and therefore her own too. A boyfriend would do that, she knew. The problem was she couldn't keep a man for the life of her. Now, I want to be very clear.
Oh, no.
We have a smut podcast where we celebrate romance and like the joy of being with another person. However, if the only way to meet someone else's expectations of you is to be with another person, then that person needs to be cut from your life immediately. That is not okay. Like, having a partner or being with someone does not make you successful. No. I can think of so many people who are in long-term relationships who maybe are not the most successful people.
We have a very, Southern traditional culture here in our region. It is really, folks get partnered up really young.
Oh, they marry us off.
Oh, yeah, as children.
Really young.
Actually, yes, we were both early 20s. And it is, it's so complicated. Mm-hmm. But that is not I understand that that's like something that we use as a mark of like developmental stages, but it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Like it's anyone can get married.
Truly.
Anyone can be partnered with anyone. It's not.
This is not a measure of success.
No, just as procreating is also not a measure of success.
Exactly.
Or failure, but it's not a measure of worth.
Right. And this speaks to like people who are asexual, aromantic. Like just because you're not interested in having a sexual or romantic relationship with someone doesn't mean that you can't be successful in life. Like that makes
and doesn't mean that you're not going to have safe, supportive relationships
or other intimate relationships.
Yeah. There is no wrong way to eat a Reese's. Like
exactly.
That's an old Reese's ad campaign, y'all, for those who are not familiar. For the uninitiated. But yeah, there's
yeah, I mean, whatever way you want to live is valid. Like, if you want to be partnered with someone, I mean, we both clearly did, and like, it's working out fine. But also, if that's not what you want, that's also fine.
If you're not harming yourself or others, then live long and prosper.
Yes.
And the haters are going to have something to say.
Who cares? Yeah, that's right. Okay, page 8. So Stella is trying to solve this problem. How is she going to learn how to be in a relationship with someone? She doesn't enjoy sex. She gets uncomfortable around men. I wonder why. And so she's like, well, let me just do some research like any normal woman would.
I'm going to dig into this topic.
Instead of working on her shiny new data set, Stella opened her browser and Googled California Bay Male Escort Service. This makes sense to me.
So smart.
It makes sense.
Data.
You want to learn? Hire a professional. Genius.
It is actually so beautiful and so logical. And went so very well for her.
Yes, it did. Yes,
truly. But it's just, yeah, if y'all haven't read this, it's adorable.
It's really cute. Yeah, I mean, I can see the steps logically how that went, and it makes sense to me.
It's so tender.
Page 11. She could be that hard-ass Asian go-getter who chose him with his mixed Vietnamese and Swedish heritage. He looked a lot like the K-drama star Daniel Henney. This last kind of woman inevitably reminded him of his mom. After sleeping with them, he needed a therapy with a punching bag. Now, I just highlighted this.
This is Michael's perspective.
Yes, because I Googled that actor.
Really?
Daniel Henney, and he is very hot.
Oh, my God.
I was like, oh, now I have a clear picture of what this man looks like, and he is hot.
Oh, that is so fun.
Stella says that he's hotter than Daniel Henney. She said, no, you're better looking than him.
Having spent a lot of time now with naked descriptions of this character,
dragon tattoo all the way down. starting at his shoulder all the way down to his freaking leg.
What? And Taylor? Oh my God. We'll get into it.
So hot.
But yes, for any of our K-pop girlies out there, K-pop is a whole thing.
Yes, it is.
And it is not my thing. I would be down to get into K-pop.
I enjoy a couple songs. I'm not in the K-pop world, but when they come across, I'm like, yeah, this is great.
What's the big boy band?
BTS.
BTS is a whole thing, which is so fun. And yeah, I imagine that Michael, our MMC here, is like a amalgamation of all the best qualities of these BTS boys.
Later on down the same page, her hair was dark and pulled back in a tight bun, and sexy librarian-type glasses were balanced on a cute little nose. In fact, from what he could see of her, everything looked like it had been chosen from a sexy librarian cosplay. She wore neat, pointed pumps, a gray pencil skirt, a fitted white Oxford shirt buttoned clear up to her throat. It was possible she was 30, but Michael put her at 25. There was something young and wholesome about her, though her own frown was rather fierce as she scrutinized the menu. So Stella is also very hot.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like before he goes to on the date with her, he's like, okay, let me go get myself ready. He starts like fantasizing about like a teacher, like hot teacher or whatever, and like the person he pictured is
a teacher.
Is
energy.
Yeah, is what Stella looks like.
Yes.
Like, oh, this worked out really well for me.
It sure did. Well,
he's like, I like older women and I like tight pencil skirts.
She has porn star nipples, so
yes,
we cover that. Yeah,
Stella Lane has porn star nipples.
He falls first. That is the trope that is going on. I mean, I don't know. She falls pretty quickly, but he's immediately like, this doesn't work for me.
This does not work anymore. I'm having a great time.
Genuinely aroused by the sexy librarian.
That's right.
So yeah, she is wearing her French seams. She is wearing what is comfortable to her and what is appropriate. And it's just so true to her. It's so beautiful.
Yes. And she's like, here's a proposal I have.
She's like, hello. It's lovely to meet you. We're entering into a business decision together.
It's amazing.
So fun.
All right, on page 20. I want you to get that in your brain, folks. We're on page 20.
Yes, literally.
It is hot. He looked so perfect, like carved stone, but his skin was smooth and hot, firm but giving, alive. You can touch me, he said, anywhere. Even as the invitation thrilled her, it gave her pause. Touching was such a private thing. She didn't understand how he was able to do it so well with people he didn't know. Are you sure you're okay with this? She asked. I like being touched. I also like being touched.
I as well. It was just such a sweet, she was like, surely someone else would not enjoy this. And he's like, no.
He's like, no, it's actually pretty fun.
I actually would enjoy that.
I do this for a living, actually.
Thank you so much.
She leaned as close as she could without burying her face against his neck. She is obsessed with the way that he smells. It was immediate. She wants to bury herself in his closet.
Which, like, that first falling in love, like, I'm probably, like, nose blind at this point, but, like, that first falling in love energy of, like, oh, no, you smell incredible.
Yes. The pheromones.
That's the best. The best feeling.
You smell really, really good. What is it? Where was that scent coming from? It seemed to be everywhere on him, but too light. She craved more, a concentrated dose. Michael? A funny look crossed his face. It's just me, Stella. You smell this good? Apparently, you're the first to comment on it. I want this smell all over me. She just says whatever's in her brain.
Very literal.
Yes.
Very clear, very black and white. We love it.
As the words left her mouth, she worried she'd said the wrong thing. That statement had sounded a little too personal, a little strange. Would he notice how strange she really was? He bent down so his lips hovered a hair's breadth away from her ear, and he whispered, "Are you sure you're bad at sex?" He's like, "You're actually doing pretty well."
It's as if when Stella is enjoying the person she's with, it's as if it comes a little more naturally.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun. Yeah, and the thing I wrote here was just like, sex is always way more than just penetration. Like, all of this stuff leading up to it, they're not even kissing. Like, they're just standing really close to each other. Sniffing.
Smut.
Yeah.
Literally smut.
He's like, you're actually pretty good at sex, as far as I can tell. Like, this is going really well.
Yes. It's just the best.
She says, so far we haven't done anything yet. You're very good at the talking part. And Stella says,
there's a talking part.
I've had sex. There isn't a talking part. A spark danced in his eyes.
I've analyzed this data.
There's definitely a talking part. There is a talking part, folks.
Dear God.
The love of God.
Your note in all caps.
There's a talking part, for the love of God.
Yes.
Speak to each other.
Speak to each other and make it hot. It is, you have to seduce a woman's mind.
That's right. And look, you are not bound to the things that you say in the moment. You can just forget about it as soon as it's over.
What happens in the bedroom?
That's a whole different thing.
Exactly. That's the fun of it.
I'm possessed by a demon or something.
Have a great time with it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah, especially if you say something crazy and makes you laugh. Like, that's fun.
That's even better. Yes, dirty talk is such a playful expression. I mean, I'm sure that it's not everyone's thing, but it's mine. It's so fun.
It's mine.
But it's mine. Yeah. I think it's he does a beautiful job with it. And we'll get to it, but he uncovers the fact that, oh, she loves to be talked to.
She likes it when
she appreciates
to her.
this.
All right, page 27. This is the same scene. Just, I want to be clear. We started on page 20. We're on page 27. Same scene.
For context, like, we have Iron Flame. Like, there's so many books that we have read where the smut is not for so long.
For so long.
This is, I mean, you've barely cracked this book open.
Yeah.
And we're already in each other's pants.
That's right. Soon he was seducing her mouth, stroking her bottom lip, the top lip, teasing the crease. Maybe she parted her lips. Maybe she wanted him to go further. But he didn't. The closed mouth kisses she liked so much in the beginning were no longer enough. She tried to capture his tongue to take it into herself, but he evaded her. He brushed at her lips with maddening strokes, dipping inside for the merest second, withdrew, and she needed his shoulders in frustration. Over and over again, he gave her a brief taste of salt and heat and then retreated. Without consciously deciding to do it, she sealed her mouth with his and touched her tongue to his. His taste flooded her senses, butterflies exploded in her stomach and sped through her veins. Her legs went weak, but his arms tightened around her, keeping her from falling.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's 2 paragraphs describing one kiss.
Yeah. This is sex ed.
This is what we mean when we say these smut scenes last for pages, because we are spending multiple paragraphs describing one single kiss. And
we should.
And that's what we should be doing, folks.
That is how we approach smut.
Exactly.
That is the appropriate way to write smut. That is what we're asking. This is as they are, engaging in this way. I made some highlights. Did you know I made some highlights?
You did?
I sure did. I sure did this time. It brought me joy. How can you not highlight some of this?
Oh my God.
This is before the kiss, which is really sweet. Well, let me just read here. Something hard prodded her belly.
Something.
That always makes me giggle. When we're like,
what is it?
We're like, there's a penis.
There's something here.
There's something large. There's something enormous, like the state of Alaska, like prodding my belly. It's hard.
It's thick and heavy. And it's on my belly.
Thick and heavy. His manhood. It's pulsing. I don't understand. It always makes me laugh. He said, "You can ignore that. We haven't kissed or anything. How can you?" Hooded eyes searched hers as he lowered a hand from between her shoulder blades to the small of her back. The heat of his palm penetrated her clothes, and all the fine hairs on her body stood up. This goes 2 ways, Stella. You like the feel of me? I like the feel of you.
I like the feel of you.
Ah!
Yes, sir.
Will you show me how to be a good kisser? Is later down the page. I think they figured that out. This on whatever page this is. This was kissing. Kissing was glorious. Yes, it sure was. With the right one.
Yes.
Kissing's pretty great.
Someone who's patient and willing to learn what she needs.
And someone you've got alchemy with.
That's right. Okay, on page 32, so this is still the same scene. To be clear, still the same scene. And
all her clothes are still on.
Yes. Well, we've gotten to the point where, like, Stella wants to, quote, establish the baseline because she's a scientist.
Data.
So she's trying to collect her data.
See no flaws.
But to do that, you have to have sex. And so it's getting to the point where, like, he's slowly trying to take her clothes off, and then she freezes up and she starts getting uncomfortable. And he's like, hey, like, we do not have to do this. Like, this is not something...
Which is the appropriate response.
Correct. And
I don't care who your partner is. If they're not... If it's not an enthusiastic yes.
Yes. And just so hot the way he just gets enraged.
Yes! Did someone hurt you?
Yes. She's like, no one hurt me. This is just the way that I am. Can you please just continue? And he's like, I'm not having sex with you.
That's not how sex
when you're
works,
crying.
Stella. Yeah.
And so he says to her, "You are not the problem. It's those men." A wrinkle formed between her eyebrows, and he smoothed it out with a fingertip. "You need someone to go slow with you." "You have been going slow with me. The others were done by now. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about the others." Okay.
Okay. His consistent rage.
Yes.
At anyone who has ever looked at Stella incorrectly is
Hot.
so hot.
It's so good.
He lives in a perpetual state of protecting her in an empowering way.
Yes.
And it is so hot.
Oh, I just love this book.
I know. This is why we revisited it. It's really beautiful.
I'm just gonna be over here reading smut. Don't mind me.
I know. I'm skimming it too. Y'all should do it too. Pull it up.
Okay, so page 57. We are here to we're creating lesson plans. Mm-hmm. She pushed the salt and pepper shakers and candle aside. After placing her papers in the middle of the table, she smoothed the creases out with her fingertips and pointed out at the first sheet that was labeled Lesson 1.
Yeah.
I put boxes next to each item so we can check things off as we go.
That function in the Notes app with the little...
the bubbles?
Every day.
Love it.
Every day. It moves it to the bottom of the list when it's done. That is the best feature. I don't care about
free
any
dopamine
other...
every time.
It is, and I tell all clients like who are working through executive functioning stuff, I'm like, y'all, try this.
Get out of bed. Check.
It feels so good.
I did it.
Open the curtains.
Yes.
So I can see the sun. Check.
Free dopamine when you check that box, baby.
Pro tip, make it halfway through the day and then just check off all things you've already done.
Hell yeah. Got up, went outside, ate a snack.
Basic human things.
Yes.
Y'all, sometimes that's where we're at. Mm-hmm. There ain't no shame in that. Make yourself a checklist.
That's right.
She made a checklist involving kissing.
Oh, yes.
What else?
I put boxes so we can check things off as we go. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes on paper. He opened his mouth to speak, caught his breath, and tapped a finger to his lips. Give me a moment. Okay, lesson 1. Hand job, lecture, and demonstration.
Lecture. I would love for somebody to...
Just give me a...
That is something you can only learn. Demonstration.
Lecture and demonstration.
Oh my God. That is something you can only learn by doing.
Hand job, practice, performance review. Missionary intercourse, lecture, and demonstration. Missionary intercourse, practice, performance review.
I would really... Okay. I think this is kind of hot. I would appreciate...
I said this is very relatable for me. I find it very hot.
I think that this would be really hot to do.
Yes. Make a checklist and let's do it.
Like with your long-term partner.
Yeah.
Let's get a performance review. Not like, I mean, to be clear, you can only give positive feedback. Like, only give positive feedback, but tell me what you liked about that. That is one of my favorite things to do, is like, what did you like about that? Why did you like it? That's actually like a really helpful way to have a healthy sex life. It's like, was there anything I could do differently?
Yeah, especially if you're trying something new. Like, once you're done and the blood has rushed back to your brain,
yeah,
you can be like, okay, so how did you feel about A, B, C, and D?
It's such a great time to
it's
you know,
this, but with less pressure.
Can I do this again a different way?
Yeah.
It's a sweet way to connect with your partner.
Yes.
Highly recommend. Make it a game.
I love a list. I love checking things off.
Absolutely.
I eat it up.
It's essential. Quick little dopamine hack.
All right, page 59. So you don't get all the lists, but she does. He says, "I'm surprised you use the terms doggy style and cowgirl." So she's got lots of things she wants to check off.
She says, "I'm inexperienced." Not.
Your plans are missing something important. He held his hand out, and she placed the pen in his palm with wary motions. She tilted her head to the side and watched him write "foreplay" at the top of all the plans in capital letters.
Foreplay.
As an afterthought, he drew a box in front of each interaction with hard stabs of the pen. "But why? I was under the impression that men don't need it." "You do," he said.
Yes.
I wrote here, I was going to say give the man a trophy, but this is the bare fucking minimum.
It is. The bar is on
You don't get a trophy for that.
And I think it says in there, like, his expression is, like, just very, he's like, you need foreplay.
You need it. And this is about you.
And that's, you are a participant in this sexual encounter.
Exactly.
And if you need foreplay, then let's learn what you like in foreplay. Like, that takes some experimentation. That takes some practice. That takes some... What
Take
do
some
you
conversation.
like? At different phases in your cycle, you may need more or less. You may need different flavors. You may need different ways to warm up. But crockpot and microwave, folks.
That's right. I find it helpful in, well, I mean, I guess in heterosexual male-female partnerships that I am less concerned about getting off, because we're pretty sure that's going to happen. It's going to be pretty easy to do.
Sure is.
And so this is the best thing about female sexuality, is that it's all about me.
Yes, exactly. It's so fun.
Like, I don't need to get in my head worrying about whether or not he's going to finish, because I think it's going to be fine. We're going to be just fine in that regard. It's the bar. It really doesn't take much. Yeah.
Actually, for
30 seconds, to be honest.
Actually, he is doing his very most
thinking about the wall
to not come.
Yes.
Isn't that just the fun of it, though?
Oh, I love it.
Male, female, heterosexual. I mean, I don't know. It's boring to some, maybe, but it's fun.
Unfortunately, we're straight, but
because I know unfortunately,
here we are.
This is where we're at.
But I do find it fun. He's like,
it's so playful.
I had to think about the wall for a good portion of that. Like,
it's like, oh, I'm so irresistible.
Yeah, like, it's hot.
Yes, so cute. But so yes, Michael says you need it.
Yeah, you need foreplay. So put that on your list. We're gonna check it off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, page 68. He smoothed his hands up and down her back until her muscles relaxed beneath his palms. That was when he gave in and kissed the underside of one breast. She curled her fingers and her nails pricked at his skin. Pulling back, he asked, "Are you okay, Stella?" She cleared her throat twice. "Tell me what you're planning, please." "I'm going to suck on your pretty nipples and lick them with my tongue."
She wants to know.
Yeah.
She wants to know what's coming.
Her grip tightened on his shoulders. That was a bit more graphic than I was expecting. This is the talking part.
Yeah.
This is the talking part, Stella.
The talking part is actually pretty hot.
It's actually pretty great. I enjoyed him saying that, actually.
I love that she was like, I would feel more comfortable, a little safer, if you told me what you were planning on doing. And actually, that is pretty hot.
It's great.
Tell me what you're thinking and what you want to do.
Things that you're going to do.
That brings me joy.
That's foreplay. Here's what we're going to do in the next block of time.
Hot.
It works. It works
Everyone
every time,
needs a marker board in their bedroom to just... This is on the agenda.
If you see a dry erase board in our bedroom, just ignore it.
This is what's on the agenda for the day.
Page 78. Oh my god. Okay, so they have this agreement eventually where they just like are gonna pretend to be boyfriend girlfriend. She's gonna do relationship practice.
Yes.
So
data.
Part of his foreplay plan is to like take her out and like do all these cutesy little couple things because he knows that she needs to feel comfortable with someone before she can have sex with them, which is true for so many people.
Yeah.
So they go on this cutie little date, and this is so hot. I want to reread this scene 100 times. She put a spoonful of mint chocolate chip in her mouth. The complex combination of vanilla and mint exploded on her palate. Bits of chocolate crunched between her teeth. Perfection. Let me try it. She held her bowl out toward him, but he didn't put the spoon in it. He trailed his fingers over her jaw as he tipped her head back and sealed his lips over hers.
Absolutely.
His tongue speared into her mouth, and the salt of him mixed with the flavor of the ice cream. She didn't know if she was mortified, shocked, aroused, or all three. With a lingering lick on her bottom lip, he pulled away and grinned, his dark eyes intense and hazy. Let me try it.
Let me try that. For context, they have not had penetrative sex yet.
No.
They're madly in love.
It's so hot.
The alchemy of it all.
She's like, I cannot believe that I just let you do that. I was like, I can.
This is our germ focused friend.
Yes.
Who is she's sensitive to these things. This is at some point, I think, before, because mine says location 575.
Oh, if you tap the bottom corner, it'll change.
You're kidding me. Teach me everything about Kindles. My Kindle that's about to die. Page 37.
Yeah.
Okay, this is at some point. She says, "What are these from?" She couldn't imagine how escorting gave him calluses like this. They're sword calluses. You're kidding. That lopsided grin stretched over his mouth. Kendo. Actual sword fighting is nothing like in the movies, though. Don't get too excited. Are you good at that? I'm okay. It's just for fun.
He's good at sword wielding.
He sure can wield a sword.
That's right.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. 1, hot.
Yes.
2, made me think of our sword friend.
Our sword friend. So he is not a creepy sword boy.
This is a way to make swords hot.
Yes.
Which, as Aragorn, my sexuality was...
Correct.
The genesis of my sexuality really was Aragorn.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, Legolas. I mean, it's all Lord of the Rings to me. It's any man with a precision instrument, a bow and arrow, a sword.
Yeah, we were really popular. We were happy.
I don't know why you're saying it like that.
Hey.
Anakin Skywalker, look.
Yes!
A lightsaber. Flip that lightsaber around.
Exactly. It's hot. So has all these, he's got all these cousins and it's super cute. And it just brings me joy that he, swords.
He swords around.
Sure does. He's wielding a weapon.
Page 83. So they're going to a club, which, in hindsight, probably not the best place to take Stella, but you don't know what you don't know.
But you know what? She did not inform him of what she wanted and needed as far as sensory concerns go.
Correct. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, that's not it's her responsibility to communicate.
And say, hey, I don't do well in very crowded, loud situations. Also same. I do not do well in very loud, crowded situations.
Or you could go into that situation and just hope that you're all of a sudden going to have a different response than you always have.
That is one way to approach it.
Which is... maybe what she did here.
Yeah. This is going to be just fine.
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
She should have, we get why she didn't, but you can advocate for yourself.
Exactly. She slipped her credit card out of the top of her dress and handed it to Michael, laughing when he stared at her with a surprise grin. I had nowhere else to put it.
Oops.
Oopsie. He slid his hands up her back and pulled her close. What else is in there? He asked as he peered at her modest show of cleavage. My driver's license. I have pockets, you could have given me your cards to hold and your phone. I didn't think of that. I left my phone at home because it wouldn't fit. But now she knew that was an option. This is why women had boyfriends. So true. Do you know how many times I don't want to carry a bag and I'm handing my license, my credit card, my phone, my lipstick to put in his pockets? All the time.
It's so convenient.
Anytime we go to an amusement park, if we're going somewhere where there's a lot of people around and I don't want to carry a bag, I shouldn't be carrying a weight on my shoulders.
I'm not... If the bag interferes with the aesthetic of my outfit...
Nope.
I shan't.
I will be handing you my credit card and my license for you to hold for me.
I didn't know that it... if Jay is around, I'm not carrying anything, really.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
I mean, even if I don't want to carry my bag itself. He's happily carrying that for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. I know. When I got home from Charleston, I put my suitcase at the bottom of the stairs because I'm not carrying it up the stairs. And
you have complicated stairs too. It's there's a turn and that's a whole fucking suitcase.
So I'm sitting on the couch in the bonus room, and A gets home from pickleball, and I hear him just pick up the bag and carrying it up the stairs. I'm like, yeah, because I won't be.
I am frequently confronted with the effects of having been partnered with a strong man for the past decade, and I'm like, oh, I haven't lifted any. I haven't taken out the garbage in a long time.
Hey, you know what? If you take out the garbage as a female identified person, I'm proud of you.
I am a feminist. And
I don't want to do anything.
I don't know.
As a feminist, I shouldn't have to do anything.
I'm just a girl.
Yeah, just let me sit here. As reparations for being oppressed for my whole life.
Thank you. This is reparations.
Maybe you should just do everything for me.
Maybe. If this is how things are going to be, you can lift the heavy things for me.
Exactly.
But I love that Michael educates Stella on this.
Yes.
And he's like, so
I've got pockets, actually.
At the tailor. He's like, I sewed these pockets.
I sewed these pockets myself. Michael Larsen original.
To carry your items.
Yes.
So sweet. Relatable.
All right, so page 115, we're working on our agreement to be fake boyfriend and girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Fake dating trope.
Yeah, his family owns a dry cleaning alterations place, and she had to take her dry cleaning herself because her assistant couldn't do it, which is out of her routine, so she's all frazzled and relatable. And
because your assistant takes your dry cleaning?
Well, no, because I don't like doing things that are outside of my routine. Or going to the dry. I don't go to the dry cleaners. Are you kidding? I just if it says dry clean only, it's never being washed. I just keep wearing it.
Either I continue to wear it, or I wash it on cold and delicate, yes, and hang dry.
Correct.
I don't know, y'all. Just try it sometime.
Yeah, I'm not going to the dry cleaners. You can't make me. She says, she's telling him like, we don't have to have sex. I just want you to practice being my boyfriend. And he says, no sex. She took a breath and nodded. That's right. Leaning forward, he asked in a low voice, so you can be sure the next man to kiss you or touch you will only do it because he wants to. Yes. She leaned toward him as she anticipated his answer, almost afraid to exhale. I accept. She smiled in dazzling relief. He tipped her face up with a hand on her jaw and kissed her. Electric sensation crackled through her. If it weren't for the counter, she would have fallen. He wanted to.
That is...
the next person who kissed her...
romantic.
Yes. Wanted to kiss her.
It is so sweet. The subtext of all of this is that she is falling so fast. And he, from the moment he saw her, has been falling.
Yes.
And so this is truly the chemistry of it all. There is some confusion because she's hired him. Mm-hmm. But so she's kind of explaining things away as just like, this is his job, this is his role.
Yeah, it is confusing. Like, the lines are super blurred because the whole time she's like, I'm his client, I hired him, but also like, we agreed that this would not be physical, like we would just be going on dates and he would accompany me to like my family stuff, but also he's touching me a lot and he's kissing me and like I enjoy it, so I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the lines are really blurred for sure, and it's such a she said at some point early on that I love like the obsession.
Yeah, she says I'm obsessed.
Like if
I have obsessions and I'm obsessed with you.
And it's the hyper focus. Yes. Like the passion and under the neurodiversity umbrella, as an individual with ADHD, I really identify with this. And you spoke to this really beautifully this morning at brunch. When you spoke of this bedroom at this historic home that you visited. Yes. And you thought of me because it was filled with dogs.
Yes, there were just...
English Springer Spaniels.
There were statues, photos. Not photos. I mean, it's 1800s.
Oil paintings of English Springer Spaniels.
And I wanted to ask the tour person if they owned Springer Spaniels, but I got nervous. But you can't have phones, can't take photos. It's still a private owned residence, so the family is very...
Yeah.
I was just like trying to transmit all of these English Springer Spaniels.
To me.
Yes, I'm like, Anna, please see these.
But it's the obsession. Like, it's just such a sweet. I think, and to some extent, this is a human experience of like really loving something or someone, and that's really beautiful. What Stella is describing is a clinically.
This is a diagnosable
This is a diagnosable source of dopamine and serotonin. This is joy and delight to a really extreme level, which we love. That is one of the most like beautiful ways you can affirm someone you love with ASD under the umbrella is just like celebrating what they love too.
Yes.
Whether or not you understand it, whether or not you also share that obsession.
You want to talk to me about dinosaurs? I will let me listen to you talk about dinosaurs.
Yes, let them talk about their hyperfixation.
Yes.
Their hyperfocus. Like, that is such a beautiful thing for them to love. Like, do you understand like how much joy it brings them?
Yes.
Like, whether or not you understand the different kinds of dinos or not.
I have this sweetie baby angel that I love with my whole entire heart. Ugh. He wears a Stitch toboggan every single day.
Sure.
I want to squeeze him. I love him. And of course, nobody asked him to take it off. How, like, he's clearly on a dress code. People are like, no, he's going to wear that Stitch hat.
This is very important. Like Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a blue
so fun.
Stitch toboggan with a little, it's so cute.
Stop. It's important to him.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
And he's a super talented artist. And,
oh, wow.
He has like these slideshows, like Canva slideshows, 45, 50 slides long of like characters that he's created. He's created this whole universe of characters that are based on other like anime things, and I don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
But he will sit next to me like while I'm sitting doing my supervision and just show me every single one and tell me like, this one's inspired by this. Here's this person. Now. Here's their backstory. And
best part of your day.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm like, please tell me everything about this.
So
I love it.
Beautiful. Like, I could get emotional right now because I'm thinking of all the folks I've known over the years who like they have something that like who on the autism spectrum who they love this thing, and like I've never heard of this thing, and that's not because I'm cool. I'm decidedly uncool.
Yeah.
But like it's just something niche that just scratches their brain just right.
Yes.
But their enthusiasm and dopamine is so beautiful.
Yes.
It's so
I could listen to him
contagious.
talk about it. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm going to listen to you. And also, the way that you've created these animated characters, I don't even know how you did that on Canva.
Yeah,
like,
it's so wild.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Because he's made all... You use Canva, you know that, like, he's really spent some time with this.
he has made characters, and, like, he shows me, like, one of them, and he's like, okay, this is based off this person from My Hero Academia, and it's like... It's
Beautiful.
like a humanoid looking thing, but then he's created this like miniature little teeny tiny animated character. Like it's so cute, and I'm just like I don't care if you're missing an hour of class. I just want to hear. just talk to me about this.
It's just such a pure and it's just such a beautiful expression. Like, and I just want to affirm that in folks. If y'all have a hyperfixation, if y'all are on the autism spectrum, like this is not something to be ashamed of. This is something to celebrate. And people who actually value your presence in this world will affirm that and will honor that. Like, this is important to you. Cool. Tell me about it because you matter. Like, that's a genuine interest because your joy is contagious. And it's just, I can think of so many folks over the years who just have the coolest. I've learned so much. From them.
It's so sweet. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
My hyperfixation is not too appropriate, but like mine is smut.
Yeah, it's smut.
I can tell you a lot about cartoon covers. I don't know. Not as cool as some, Triceratops and cartoon characters, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, very fun.
Okay, so at the club, Stella gets overstimulated and has to leave. And she also...
Predictably, also.
For sure. And also there's
Sounds terrible.
Michael runs into an old client, and so she sees him with her, and so it's everything combined is like, she's got to get out of there. And
Michael is very popular.
He's very popular.
All the women fall deeply in love with him.
Yes.
But she was kind of like assaulting him.
He did not want to be touched by her. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Michael's friend Quan
his cousin.
Yeah.
Is it his cousin?
Yeah, cousin. Yeah, his cousin.
And then Kai is his cousin too. I don't know.
Kai's the brother. Yeah, and so Quan has a brother who's also on the spectrum. And so he recognizes the signs. He's like, hey, like it seems like
we've grown up with Kai.
Like, it seems like there's something going on. Like, does this diagnosis sound familiar to you? I've
seen this before. You're not okay.
Yeah.
Like compassionately. Like,
yeah.
Hey, are you all right?
So she is trying to tell him, like, or she eventually has to tell Michael, like, hey, we can't do things like that because I have this diagnosis. So this is on page 135. That he wasn't aware of the true extent of them, he already knew about her issues. Sensitivities to smell, sound, and touch, her obsession with her work, her need for routine, and her awkwardness with people. Okay, well, awkwardness is a little...
Yeah, ableist.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a different way of interacting with people.
It's not... awkward from the neurotypical perspective, maybe.
Sure. But... What he didn't know was there were labels for that, a diagnosis.
Yeah.
But was pity better than hatred? Right now, he thought she was insensitive and rude, but he still viewed her as a regular person who happened to have some eccentricities. With the labels, he might be more understanding, but he'd quit viewing her as Stella Lane, awkward econometrician who loved his kisses. In his eyes, she'd become the girl with autism. She'd be less. With other people, she didn't care what they thought. With Michael, she desperately needed to be accepted.
Yeah.
She had a disorder, but it didn't define her. She was Stella. She was a unique person.
Page 91, a quote along the same lines. This is when Quan is talking to her. And he said, Michael doesn't know, does he? He never would have taken you here if he knew. You should tell him. And this is in her own perspective. She says, all she could do was shake her head. Anytime people learned about her disorder, they started walking on eggshells around her. It strained the relationship until they found a way to leave. She never told people anymore. Apparently, that wasn't enough to keep some people from figuring it out on their own. So she feels like exposed, and she doesn't want people to understand, or she doesn't want people to know this about her because, like you said, like they lead with this characteristic.
It's not person first anymore.
Exactly. It's not, and if you can't see the person with, like, yes, autism is part of her experience. That's how she experiences the world, and she's a person. It's interesting. It's always fascinated me over the years because I started working with folks with disabilities in special ed, specifically in like 2012 2013. And at that point, like, Autism Speaks was really popular, and Light It Up Blue and all these things. And those of you who are in this world, y'all understand. It was very much focused on autism awareness, and like, we want to like use person first language.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me more and more how people move into this neurodiverse umbrella where we affirm, like, you can't speak about this, you can't understand and appreciate this person unless and until you do understand that they do have autism.
Correct.
Like, this is part of their personhood. And it's part of their identity, and intersectionality speaks to it so beautifully, how if we're going to understand and appreciate and love this person, we must also affirm their neurodiversity.
Yeah, and I think Stella is trying to speak to the double-edged sword of like, yes,
beautifully.
I can tell him that I am diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah,
and that will help him understand my experience. Also, it will change the way that he interacts with me, and I don't want that.
And she doesn't know that, like, because there's so many stereotypes, and so she doesn't know that, like, he has a cousin, and like he's completely comfortable, and that he loves her, like, he appreciates her as her.
But her experience just tells her, like, people don't know how to talk to me when they learn that I'm autistic.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yes, people get weird, and so it's just Helen Hoang, and she unpacks this at the end of the book, but she talks about her own diagnosis, and so she really touches on the complexity.
Yes.
But yeah, this was a really heartbreaking but beautiful description outside the bar.
Yeah.
Where Quan is being super lovely and Stella is figuring it out.
All right. So page 159, we are finally, well, I mean, not finally. We do a lot of spicy stuff before, but
Should be noted, there's a lot of spice. There's like some explicit foreplay.
For sure. But we get into some real, like, full on sex scenes.
Absolutely.
Here, so page 159, he bit her earlobe. You're about to go off, aren't you? That's all it took. It's because I've been fantasizing you about ever since last Friday. Stella, you're doing the talking part, girl. That's the talking
You're good at the talking part. She just says it like it is.
Yes.
That's why she's good at the talking part.
Yes, I'm just saying what's in my brain. He removed his touch and sat up. His expression was soft as he brushed her tendrils of hair away from her face. What does Fantasy Michael do? Everything. He laughed before his eyes went intense. Does he make you come with his mouth? Real Michael wants to do that. Real Katie also wants that. Post haste. Let's go.
Post haste. Speed it up and then slow it way down.
That's right.
That is so magical. Yeah.
I mean, these scenes are just, they're like slow and meandering and just beautiful to read. Like, we take our time.
Truly.
We stop, we talk. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's pretty explicit. Like, it's really fun. It's a good time. It feels like you are, and this is why this book holds up so well after so many years. Like, it is such a, you are right there with them in the most hot way possible.
In the most hot way possible.
Yes.
Page 163. I highlighted this because it's hot, and also because I kind of like an FMC who is not fully waxed.
Yes! I loved this.
Yes, the brown curls between her thighs were visible, and she caught him eyeing them darkly. Without asking, without hesitating, without giving her time to think, he slipped his hand over her hip, down to her pelvis. Daring fingertips threaded through the hair and massaged the peak of her sex. Her skin burned where he touched her, and her knees weakened. She braced herself on his shoulders. That's my girl. Oh my God.
He whispered as he leaned down to kiss her. So hot.
So hot.
But yes, this was such a...
It's just a nice change of pace, because usually it's like, there is not a speck of hair. It's like, that's not.
I forget what ad campaign this was about, like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
With your pubic hair. Like, this is a way to self-express. This is a way, your comfort, like, whatever. Human bodies have hair.
Human bodies have hair.
And that is something that can, from a sensory perspective, it's so personal.
Yes.
And it's so up to the individual, but especially in smut, it's almost never, like, if there's ever any hair,
it's like perfectly styled, like a landing
there's like
strip.
a landing strip.
Yeah.
It's like something like very it's like almost like a quirky like way to express. It's never like, no, this is how my genitals are.
This is what my body looks like.
This is my body. I don't know. What do you want me to do with it?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It was very honest and felt very true to Stella. Also, like, if you have sensory processing differences, like, oh my God, waxing or even shaving, like, that would feel terrible.
I mean, it's not the, like, when it's shaved part, it's the growing back that makes me want to claw my skin off.
Yeah.
I hate it.
And so, like, different folks are wired different ways. Like, it depends. It depends.
Yeah. Whatever
There
you
are
like.
lots of ways to show, and you can change it every time.
That's right. Yeah.
It's your body, actually.
Correct. And you know what? I don't accept any man's opinion, honestly. Like, are you gonna complain?
Are you actually complaining about?
You got something to say?
That is such a great perspective, because I think women carry a lot of shame around body hair, and it's the patriarchy, it's misogyny, there's a lot of shame around body hair, and it's like, well, this is my human body.
Yes. So if you're gonna complain, we can just not do this.
The barometer, the measuring stick we should be using is, what do you in your body? What do you like?
What do you like?
What feels nice, and what do you want to keep up? And that's the measuring stick.
Yep. Whatever feels right for you, folks.
He should be so lucky.
Seriously.
He should be so lucky to come near your lady parts in any capacity. Dear God.
That's right. All right. Page 164. I love this scene so much. It lasts so long.
It's really good.
It's mouth-watering.
Yes.
He gripped her knees and pulled them apart to bare her sex to his eyes. His chest expanded on a sharp inhalation, and his dragon tattoo rippled. His throat worked on a loud swallow. I should have known you'd have the prettiest little... Michael, don't say it, she said quickly. He paused, considered her with a naughty glint in his eyes. You mean pussy?
This is so funny.
It's so funny and
because
so
she's
hot.
like, ew, pussy.
She's like, don't say it. I'm like, fuck it, say it.
Yes. So because he coached her early on. He's like, if you ever want this is my cock.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you ever want this is what you're gonna call it.
You're gonna refer to this as my cock,
which is hot. I mean, he is a male escort. Like, he is a sex worker.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
This is his profession, and he's nailed it down, pun intended. But she's like so like, pussy. And so he's like, well, what should I call it?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And of course, one of my favorite tropes of all time is, I don't think I like oral sex. I've never had
a good experience with oral sex.
I love it every time. I don't care.
Like, oh, you've never enjoyed?
Want to bet?
Cunnilingus? What's the SNL skit? Cunnilingus.
So on page 1, this is also, like, it's really hot and also just, like, silly and flirty.
It's so playful.
It's so fun.
Their sex is so silly and so playful.
Page 166. This is at the 50% mark in the book, folks.
We love it.
A gentle, closed-mouth kiss landed on her clitoris, and her entire body stiffened. This was not what she expected. Hate it? He asks. Another kiss, followed by a slow tasting. He hummed his approval and covered her with his mouth, sucking with light pressure as his tongue laved? I don't know. I say it in my brain and it makes sense.
I get it immediately.
Yes. Soft and warm and delicious, Stella's body went limp as heat bloomed inside her. I can tell you don't like it, he rasped. Just let me. His tongue stroked into her, lapping at the moisture.
You clearly don't like this.
Yes. One last taste. He returned to her clitoris, scraping teeth against the sensitive nerves before he kissed her again, sipped at her, and licked her. He's like, I can tell you hate it. I'll just stop.
Yeah, I'll leave you out of it.
Just let me.
Because he says it initially. I mean, he's a professional.
Yes.
He says it initially. He's like, which is a beautiful consent-oriented conversation. But he's like, I really want to do this. Like, it's so clear that you want this. Like, let me do. I selfishly want to do this, which is the hottest thing a man could say.
Hot.
Literally the best. But then he's like, if you hate it, we will stop.
Yeah.
And so he's checking in regularly, and she's dying.
Yeah, like
she's actually deceased on the bed.
Oh, it's so.
And he's like, I can tell
you don't like this. I'll just, don't worry, I'll stop. I'll stop in just a little bit.
That is an excellent, and especially for girlies who are like, do my wants and needs matter? Like, is it okay to want this? Like, is he okay? Like, this is such a fun.
Oh, he's fine.
He's actually having a great time. As he should.
On the next page, did it take me too long? Was that a lot of work? So
relatable. All the girlies.
We're like,
am I too much?
Did I take up too much space?
Are my needs too much for you? Dump his ass if he implies anything.
Correct.
Oh,
He should be so lucky.
Oh, he should be so lucky.
It discomforted her that she'd been the only one to derive pleasure from the act. She much preferred to be on the giving side of things. Can't relate.
Professionally, can't relate.
He laughed softly. I drew it out on purpose, Stella. You are sexy as hell.
Michael, you just said exactly the right thing.
Yes. Fellas, listen up.
Take notes.
Girlies, if your boyfriend's listening, turn it up. Draw it out. Make it a game. See how long she can last. Like, draw it out for fun.
He said, and I quote, "You came on me like a porn star, Stella. I almost spilled in my jeans."
That's all we want to hear.
Yeah. Like, what is that? We've talked about this on the pod before, but it was an article or something really intellectual, which means it was a TikTok. But it was from a sex therapist, but it was talking about how the art of female sexuality is the narcissism of it all. Like a positive narcissism. In the sense that it's like, yes, it's like women and female identified folks are turned on by your appreciation
of how amazing we are.
By you being turned on by me. I am turned on by you being turned on by me.
Exactly.
I am turned on by you thinking that it's hot, that I'm hot.
Yes. Tell me how much you enjoyed giving me pleasure.
It's and it's so fun.
It's
just
so fun.
It brings me joy. It brings me joy.
That's right. All right, page 170. So this is the description of like their first penetrative sex, and Michael is
this is chapters.
Oh, it's so
chapters upon chapters.
Yes,
so good.
So he understands her so deeply that like he originally starts like he's like on top of her and he's like, I don't think that this is what she likes.
She was visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and I think she also said that.
Yeah, and he's like, how about we try it like this? Like, you face away from me. You don't gotta look at me. I was like, this sounds great to
Doggy
me.
style.
Yes, exactly.
That was on our list.
Yes, it was. We're gonna check it off.
And then it shows like she immediately felt more comfortable with that. And so, yeah, lots of consent.
Mm-hmm. Something hard prodded at the entrance of her body, and he pushed inside slowly. Stella stopped breathing. Sex had hurt in the past, but there was nothing now but a sensuous stretching that went on and on until Michael seated himself fully inside her. She tried to swallow, to talk, but she couldn't. They fit perfectly.
Huh. Interesting.
On and on.
So good.
So good.
It's so good because it's speaking to like, this is how it felt before. And then this is how it feels now.
Yeah.
And it's that is how sex should feel. Like, I don't know, y'all, it's important to have sexual experiences where you learn what you like and you learn, I don't know, like, no wonder she hasn't been dating.
Right. It's like, this has never been fun. It hurt. Like, this should not be hurting. If it does hurt, even if you like are into it, go to your gynecologist.
Oh my God.
Like, there's something else happening.
If there were a message for those with vulvas in this world, if sex is hurting,
yeah, if you're in a consensual relationship with a long-term partner and it's still hurting you, like you need to go to the gynecologist and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, vaginismus is real.
Yeah,
and there's
pelvic floor stuff is real.
There's so many reasons. Your sexual health matters. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah,
and it doesn't like a healthy, great gynecologist will help you, or pelvic floor therapist, or whoever's working with you will help you work through it without shame. Like, it's not. This is. It's not normal. Like, that's not the standard. Like, sex shouldn't hurt, but it is not uncommon. Like, it is possible to work through it.
Correct.
There are so many ways to help you feel safe and affirmed.
That's right. All right, page 181. I highlighted this because this is Anna in a description.
Sexually?
No. I mean, maybe. No.
I don't know.
There's nothing about houses in here, so I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, I am sexually aroused by homes.
She sent a longing glance at her computer monitors, but she didn't let her hands touch her keyboard again.
Oh my God, I highlighted this.
There was no such thing as 5 more minutes for her. If she went back to work, the next time she resurfaced would be well after midnight. That's why she set the alarms.
There were never truer words spoken about my experience. The neurospicy among us.
I said neurospice at its finest.
It is,
yeah, it's hard.
I cannot explain how it is truly. The only way that I'm able to do my job is that I take copious notes in session, and I don't know if that's just my style. There's nothing wrong with it. it's actually an accommodation because I cannot keep track of shit. I would be all over I would actually be talking a lot, which is a problem therapeutically if I wasn't writing a lot. But on my iPad, I have the time right there that I look at back and forth, like every 30 seconds I'm looking at, and I have timers set on my watch. Like, my job requires me, like, neurotypical life requires you to function on a time with time.
Yes.
But I don't have that inside of me. I truly don't. The limit does not exist. If I'm enjoying it, I'm in it for days. If I hate it, then there's no amount of time that is bearable. And it is, I know some of y'all can relate, it is so complicated. But yeah, it was so cute to hear this description because it's like, I literally have to set a timer and I have to stop right now because there's no 5 more minutes.
I will never come back up from this.
I, in grad school, would frequently set, like, I would set timers on my Apple Watch all the time. I still do. That's how I function as an adult. But I would then, you can, like, reset it. You can reset the timer.
Yeah.
And I still will hit reset. And I will be in it. If it was a 45-minute timer, I'm in it for another 45 minutes until that sucker goes off again.
Oh, my God.
It's just so strange. I know.
Yeah. What's it like?
But it helps to affirm that. They're like, okay, let's call a duck a duck. That's how my inner timer works.
That's right. I'm very hyper aware of time. I'm the opposite.
It's so wild. It's so good though. But it's, I don't know. So much freedom comes with just honoring that, like, that is true.
Yeah, there's no time here.
Shall we work with that instead of against that? And Stella wisely works with that and not against it.
All right, page 196. We're doing it again, folks. Great news. I don't even have a note for this. I just highlighted it. There's
a lot of sex in
this. Her head fell back and her body softened. Michael was good, but he'd never been this good. It was like Stella was made for him, especially designed to respond to him and only him. The thought filled him with fierce possessiveness. His hands grew rough as he touched her body, molding her to him as he claimed her mouth. The kiss was a savage thing of teeth and tongues, but she didn't protest. Instead, she matched him roughness for roughness, kissed him until she was gasping.
Absolutely, yes. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
That's what we're getting here, folks.
That's right.
It is so fun.
It's so fun. I had a read this section out loud for fun. And
a note.
This scene is particularly, it's great, but it also is kind of frustrating because it's a fade to black eventually.
Which is dumb.
It's irritating. And he was like, so is that how most of sex scenes are? And I was like, no! You picked the wrong one to read.
That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one. On the next page, page 197. He eased his hands down the swan line of her spine and hooked his thumbs in the elastic of her panties, pushed the material down her thighs.
Absolutely. This is okay, so she unintentionally finds him at work, right? This is panties to the side.
No, that's later. I did highlight that. Don't worry.
Oh, excellent. We'll get to that.
Oh, there's more. No. Yeah, there's another one.
Okay.
Don't worry, folks. There's more after this.
Yo, compared to other books we've read,
so much smut. It's so good.
This is actually how smut should be written.
Yes, smut.
There is both plot and smut.
Plot and smut. I have a nice little paragraph.
I'm so sorry. Yes, you can written a paragraph. Continue.
He eased his hands down the swan line of her spine and hooked his thumbs in the elastic of her panties, pushed the material down her thighs.
Yes.
They were soaked clear through, and the scent of her arouser pushed him to the edge of his control.
That means you've done something right.
Correct. He almost spilled into her palm. She might be pleasuring him as a part of her sex ed, but she was loving it too. You couldn't fake this kind of evidence. After settling her back onto the bed, he tore her panties off, balled them up, brought them to his nose to inhale her scent. I'm keeping these.
That's a Brendan Fraser moment.
I love it.
Yeah, there's not much hotter you could say, actually.
My diatribe that I've written here.
Please.
Let me explain this.
Your soliloquy?
My soliloquy. My sanctimonious soliloquy.
Very good.
Let me explain it to those who might not understand this.
Please.
We are shamed for 100% of the things that come out of our vaginas. All of it. And so when a man wants to drown himself in it, that's what we want.
It is so, thank you. Yes, exactly. Because it is so the shame from like elementary school on.
Yes.
Of just body smell, body hair, like just growing up with this like shame of my body is wrong and bad and broken and like getting in the way.
Exactly.
And to have a partner who affirms and celebrates and is like, no, this is actually really hot.
This is really hot.
It is the most, it just helps you show up as such a human in a sexual relationship.
Yes, when you're not filled with shame because your body is doing what it's supposed to be doing.
I have no control over my body being my body.
Yes,
like, my body is me.
My body is producing a lubricant because this is what my body does to it in response to arousal. Like this is I've got a female body. This is what my body does, and instead of like being shamed for it and being told that it's like wanted and desired, that's just what we want.
Yes, exactly. Like male anatomy is like affirmed and celebrated. I don't know. I come from the female perspective. I assume that's most of the time. Like
I mean,
like packages are celebrated. Like
how much slang do we have about like coming on a person's body anywhere? Like we've got slang for all of it. Yeah,
exactly. But like women, and this occurs within circles like women to women, like in locker rooms, and like this is just like a source of deep shame.
Yes,
is showing up as anything other than a Barbie doll.
Exactly. And I know, with a smooth nothing going on down there.
But like that's not how bodies are built. Yeah,
and it's everything. Like we've got blood coming out, like anything that's coming out, babies, like I mean, what a miracle of life, but also I don't want to see it. That's like super gross. Yeah. Like don't tell me about that actual process.
And we're gonna have laws that make you do it, but it's gross.
But don't talk about it.
Oh, it's shameful.
Don't talk about your experience pushing a watermelon out of your vagina.
It's like but we're celebrating it. It's so many mixed messages from like birth onward about women's bodies, and maybe a way to heal that, because that's a cultural burden of pain and shame. Maybe a way to heal that is to affirm and celebrate. Yeah, like this is beautiful. This is your body. So yes, this is so hot.
Oh, and it's so hot.
This is maybe a trope in smut, but just any like, because he says, I'm keeping these. He inhaled her scent. I'm keeping these. They're not there. And she like stutters. She's like, they're dirty.
It's my underwear. Yeah.
And he's like, no, like that's the point.
Yeah. It smells like you.
So sweet.
It smells like you.
We love it.
So hot. Page 199. I highlighted this because this is another example of them being like flirty and silly in bed, and I love it. So she gets a little shy when he says the word pussy. She doesn't like it. Tiny muscles fluttered around his fingers, and he knew she was close. She sank her teeth into her bottom lip, and as she threw her head back, inhaling sharply. He touched his tongue to her clit before asking, "Is it your box?"
So funny.
"No, your Lady V." She smiled into the blankets. "No, beautiful vagina." Her smile widened and she shook her head. He licked her again and sucked on her with the faintest pressure, and she arched against his mouth. Still, she hovered on the brink exactly where he wanted her. "I know." He kissed her inner thigh. "It's your." He accented each word with a kiss on her damp skin. "Wet, hot, sweet potato."
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
It's cutie.
And then she laughs and she thinks it's so silly.
Yeah, and then a couple days later, she's sort of on her inner monologue, and she's remembering them having sex. She's like, "Do other people laugh like during sex? Is that normal?"
Ideally.
Yes, it is normal.
It's normal and fun.
And silly. It's
not every time, maybe, but like it should be playful.
Yes.
Like sex is playful. It is a way to get your needs met and love on your person and be loved. It's a way to give and receive all the goodness.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, you don't need to be so concerned about like what other people are doing or what is normal.
Great point.
Like if it feels good for you and like you got two consenting adults, like do whatever feels right.
But I mean, it speaks to Stella's experience of trying to learn how
She's like, how do I be girl?
Yeah, she's trying to study. This is something that I work with a lot with clients, is she's trying to figure out how, like, what the standard is, like how to interact socially, because she's studying, she's learning how to do it by studying them because it doesn't feel natural within her. But really the beauty, and this is maybe a universal statement, but it's so beautiful when folks are able to unmask and just do what's authentic to them. Mm-hmm. Like maybe that's what's authentic to her, is to laugh and sex, and maybe other people don't. But if I don't know, if that's hot and fun for you, that's the standard.
Yes, if it's hot and fun
safe,
for you,
if you feel safe, if you feel like yourself, if you feel like it's hot and fun, fantastic.
Go for it.
Like, that's really what matters.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what other people are doing in bed, as long as you feel safe and are having fun. On page 199, I have a highlight. Because Stella's mind needed to be seduced as much as her body, and
Correct.
apparently her genius brain really liked Michael. Mm-hmm. He was just her practice boyfriend, but she responded to him like she'd never responded to anyone else. Her mind needed to be seduced.
Same.
She's in love with him.
That's why we bring the smut.
It's a good time, folks.
That's right. Okay, page 206. We're kind of getting into like, oh shit, we're in love territory here.
But this is fake dating. What are we gonna do?
Well, we can't be in love.
Oh my god, we didn't see this coming.
We didn't see it coming.
From the first date.
Through it all, their gazes held. He saw it all, heard it all. She would have been embarrassed if it weren't for his smile, the tender way he brushed the hair from her face before his free hand tangled with hers. The most incredible feeling of being loved washed over Stella. He's taking care of her.
They are so in love. He is always calling her my Stella. It's very cute.
Oh, he does call her my Stella. It's so cute. And then his mom and grandmother call her your Stella. It's really sweet.
It's so tender to like hear his experience of being employed as a sex worker to pay for his mom's medical bills. Mm-hmm. Oh my god! Again with the parental cancer diagnoses, but it's such a beautiful, like, he does this professionally. Yeah. But he is falling in love.
Correct.
With her.
It's so good.
And he loves her.
And I love there's a theme throughout this, like, it's like we belong to each other, we're each other's. And when she goes to visit his family for, like, it's like the third or fourth time, maybe. And they refer to her as, it's a Vietnamese word that I can't pronounce. Mm-hmm. But in the translation is like sister too. Aww. Because I guess in Vietnamese families they like number the siblings, and it's they refer to Michael as brother two, and cute. She's like, we call you sister two because you're his.
Oh,
it was
yes,
so
that's
sweet.
Right. Oh my god, they're like, this is where you fit in our family.
He's brother two, and we call you sister two because you belong to him.
Oh my god, and I just like her family is so cold. Mm-hmm. Like Stella's family is cold. Maybe that's the read I'm getting on Stella's parents, is that there's a lot going on there. But it's so beautiful to have her feel so integrated.
Yes, it's so sweet.
Yes, we love it.
All right, page 234, we get some delicious jealousy. You know we like it.
It is ideal, actually. Streets and sheets, but this is some good jealousy.
A coworker kissed me. Everything inside Michael stilled, and a cold rage spread outward. With the training he did, he wasn't the kind of person who could pick fights, but he could sure as fuck end them. He would enjoy ending this one. His knuckles cracked as he fisted his hands. What's his name? What does he look like? Where can I find him? The questions came out in a hard, monotonous tone. The motherfucker was going to enjoy himself a trip to the hospital. Too much to ask? I don't think so.
Yeah, this is post stupid coworker who, we should note, is only into Stella after she's with someone else.
After seeing her with someone else.
Yeah, which is like the stupidest trope in the book. Like I say trope. This is just like what happens is that a man is like, oh, I want to be with you because some other man has you. And it's
gross.
The most patriarchal, misogynistic.
Gross. He's super gross.
Oh, gross.
So there's a forced kiss, and then she finds him at the alteration shop.
She's unwell,
and
too.
She's like, I need to use the bathroom, and she's like trying to wash like the taste of him out of her mouth. And Michael follows her in there. And folks, great news. There's only one way to fix this problem.
And he leads with a lot of compassion and like, hey, like, I want you to be sure you're okay.
I can replace this immediately.
And he's like, if this would help, I think this would help.
Yes.
As if I fix this.
So in the bathroom of his mother's alterations shop, folks.
His grandmother is right out the door.
That's right.
Right there.
He dug a foil from his pocket, tore it open, and rolled the condom on. When she began to lower her panties, he shook his head. He looped one of her legs around his hip as he lifted and pressed her against the tile wall.
Panties to the side, folks.
Yes, ma'am. She made an impatient sound. Don't tease me, Michael. I need you. He pulled the crotch of her panties to the side and thrust hard and fast, burying himself inside her.
Yes.
Guys, gals, non-binary pals, that is why we are here today. I've gathered you all here today to discuss the importance of panties to the side.
The point of this podcast is to discuss panties to the side. The urgency of it all.
Oh, it's so hot. It's the jealousy. It's the urgency. It's like, oh, we can replace the taste of him right now.
So good.
I love it.
So good.
It works every time.
I feel like that was the appropriate way to navigate that situation. It brings me a lot of joy.
That's right. Okay, so on page 253, now there is this recurring character, Michael's former client, who bought him the fancy car. And so they're at this benefit dinner that Stella's parents are hosting.
Indeed.
And she's there with Michael, and Philip is also at the table. Philip's her coworker. And Philip's mom is also there. And so on page 253, I'm so glad Philip's mother was able to make it. A red-nailed hand rested on the back of the chair next to Michael, and a familiar combination of scents assailed his nose. Cinnamon and cigarettes, ice cubes clinked before a low-blow glass, half filled with whiskey, was set on the table. So, not only is the former client there, she's also Philip's mom.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It all becomes clear.
It becomes very evident why Philip is the way that he is.
Philip is a terrible person.
The apples and trees, folks.
Apples and trees, apples and trees. Poor Michael.
I know. Drama.
I mean, nice car, but... So
they break up at the benefit because Stella gets all upset about the client being there, and she's like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. I'm just a little upset. And Michael kind of pushes her away, and he's like, do you want to go, like, try it in the car? Like, he's like, I'm your client. And so, yeah, it's devastating.
They're trying to get, this is almost a third act breakup.
Yeah.
They're trying to get, like, back into their roles.
And so he has basically been working himself. He's been grumpy at the shop, you know. He lost his girl, so he's upset. And he's talking to his mom, and he's like, look, she's way better than I am. She makes so much money. She's always gonna have more money than me. Her family is this highbrow. Like, I don't fit in. And just to be clear, folks, 3,387 people highlighted this as well.
We all agree.
Yes. Page 275. If you can't stand being with a woman who's more successful than you, then leave her alone. She is better off without you.
Maddie Healy.
I said, I have a message for the smallest man who ever lived.
Very good.
Folks, if you cannot stand being with a woman who is more successful than you, leave her alone.
Leave her alone.
She's better off without you.
If that's not okay by you and you feel small because of that, then, you know,
leave her alone.
Leave her alone, because it's only going to hurt your fragile male ego.
Exactly.
And it's going to be harmful to her. And so, for your own sake, really, if that bothers you, just do yourself a favor, and it will save her life. But do yourself a favor and just back off. Yeah. It says here at the end, she's better off without you. If you actually love her, then know the value of that love and make it a promise. That is the only thing she needs from you. You know?
Yeah.
There's a subplot here the whole time of he is really afraid of becoming like his dad.
Yes.
And he is like, I'm just a bad person. I am just like my father. Which, like, side note, folks, if you're concerned about becoming like a toxic, emotionally immature parent that you have, if you're concerned and motivated to not repeat your parents' mistakes, especially if they're harmful in some way, you're on the right track.
Yeah, you've taken the right step.
If you're already saying, like, ooh, I really don't want to do this how my parent did. I don't want to do that. Like, this was harmful, or I don't hold these values. You're on the right track. Like, it's an excellent sign. I know that is still complicated, but, like, just to affirm, you recognize that you don't want to repeat it. Great work.
Yeah. And so, also, you know, he's escorting because he needs to pay off medical bills for his mom's cancer. And, I mean, Stella is heartbroken, but she funds a foundation with her trust fund that will pay for all the medical bills. And it's not just his mom. It's a whole bunch of people that she, like, fully funded their treatments. And
incredible.
So he begins to realize that, you know, I'm in love with this woman, and Stella thinks that he is just pitying her.
Yeah.
And so every time he comes back, he's like, hey, I want to take you to dinner. And she's like, nope, I don't need your pity.
So this really is a breakup. A third act breakup.
And he's like, well, don't worry. I'll win you back. And so he sends her, like,
I'm going to get you back.
Exactly. I'm going to be your wife. So he sends her flowers, and he just
beautiful.
starts courting her, and it is gorgeous, gorgeous.
In a genuine way. Because it was fake dating before, and the lines were blurred, and it was confusing, but now this is intentional. I'm choosing
Yes, he's like,
to pursue you.
I want to be with you.
Not a situationship.
He does punch Philip in the face, which is super fucking satisfying.
It is, and this is how every thing venturing into sexual assault should end. It should end in the person being harmed.
Someone being punched directly in the
The
face.
perpetrator being harmed. It is so satisfying.
And on page 306, this is this cutie way of them telling you that they love each other. So Michael jokingly said at one point that like girlfriends buy their boyfriends underwear because like boys don't really buy themselves underwear because they just wear it till it breaks apart. Because boys are so weird.
Boys need someone to...
So it's a sign of being, like, comfortable with each other and, you know, being together for a long time. And so on page 306, trying to suppress a goofy grin, she straightened his pants and belt. Women buy underwear for the men that they love. It's economics. Data supports this claim.
It's so cute. She's evaluated this.
Yes. And so he's wearing the red, and, you know, he was wearing, like, black boxers before, but she bought him red ones. And so he's wearing the little red boxers that she bought.
So cute.
All right, and page 309, this is my last highlight. This is the end of the book. Now I can say my boyfriend is a designer with complete confidence. That is, if you are my boyfriend, aren't you? Instead of answering right away, he stared at the engine and drove out of the parking lot. Eyes on the road, voice casual. He said, I better be your boyfriend since I'm asking you to marry me in 3 months.
So sweet.
I know. Stella's jaw dropped as shock washed over her in waves that alternated between hot and cold. Why are you telling me this?
Give her a heads up.
A small smile played on his lips, and he darted a quick glance over her way before focusing on the road once again. Because you don't like surprises, and I figured you need some time to get used to that idea.
Oh, it's so affirming.
So sweet.
We're closing with affirming.
Yes.
We're not apologizing for or accommodating or working around her preferences, wants and needs, really. We're saying, hey, I know that this is what you want and need. I'm going to work with that. I'm going to affirm that. Like, I know you don't like surprises. You're going to need some time to adjust to this.
So here's your timeline. We have about 3 months. So just be prepared in about 3 months.
I'm not going to, like, scare you just as a way to affirm my masculinity or something. Like, your safety and comfort matters. Mm-hmm. It's so sweet. That is such a fun way to be like, hey, you're not too much for me.
Yeah.
Your needs matter.
I did that I struggle a little bit with surprises, not to this extent.
Yeah.
But, like, as we were getting close to, we got married, like, the summer after we graduated college. And so as we're in the last year of college, he was like, just so you know, like, I'm going to be asking you on several dates in the next couple of months. Sure. And so for each of these dates, you might want to dress like you would be getting engaged. You're not going to know which date it is, but on one of these dates, so be prepared for any of these times for me to propose.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
That's a playful way to do that. Yeah. It would still drive me insane.
I mean, it was fun. It was like...
It felt playful. It felt fun.
It was cute and fun. And, like, I'm very good at figuring out surprises. Like, I can figure it out pretty easily. And so he did a good job of being like...
It could be any of these.
He's like, we're going to go to this place and do this thing. We're going to go eat at this restaurant. We're going to go to the park. We're going to go to the zoo. So at any of these times, just think...
Which one did he propose at?
So we...
How do I not know this?
Yeah, so we went to, it was actually the zoo date, which was like the one I expected the least because we're at the zoo. Yeah. So he was like, okay, so for the zoo one, like wear what you would wear to the zoo and then bring a change of clothes because we're going to go to dinner after.
Cute. Okay.
And so, and it was kind of annoying because I had to get my nails done like multiple times.
That is true. You have done a mani for each time.
Yes. And so we went to the zoo. And he was acting a little bit weird at the zoo because as we were leaving, I mean, it's the zoo in our town. We've got a great zoo here, but we go all the time.
It's
fun. He was like, let's get shirts. Like, we're going to get some merch at the zoo.
at the zoo. He was like, nobody here has merch from the zoo.
Yeah. We're like, he was like, pick a shirt. And I was like,
we just go.
Okay. He's like, you're going to want a shirt. And I was like, oh, sure. Okay.
You're going to want a shirt.
And so then we went and changed clothes and, instead of going to dinner, he like took me down this like nature trail where there was like a pavilion, and then he had like pictures and like there was dinner set up, but it was like already there.
I feel like I've seen these pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of us sitting like over that river downtown. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
And so that's when I was like, oh, here we are. I found it.
I knew this is the one.
I knew immediately what was happening when he took me around and there was like a table set up with all these pictures.
Oh, this is the time.
Yeah.
This is the one. Oh, good work, A. That is really sweet.
It was sweet.
But that is another great way, just for anyone who doesn't like surprises, because of whatever, anxiety, just don't like surprises. Like, that is a really sweet way to, like, this is generally culturally we surprise with this question, but this is kind of a scary question.
It is a scary question. Also, like, I'm generally the belief, like, being proposed to shouldn't be, like, a total surprise. Like, you should have talked about it.
Oh, my God.
Like, it should have been part of the conversation for a while before it happens.
This should feel really clear.
It should be the answer. You should know what answer you're getting.
This shouldn't feel scary. This should feel, like, emotional and fun and affirming of a truth we were already on the same page about.
Yeah.
That we want to build a life together.
If you want the answer to be yes, make sure that you talk about it beforehand, before you propose to whoever it is.
Now, in like a rom-com, we think it's really hot to just be shocked with this question, but that is actually a really scary position to be put in.
Yeah, especially if you're like, I don't know, if you have other plans in your life and you're like, well, not right now.
It's actually kind of complicated.
Yeah.
Don't just bring it on someone. But that is, of course, Michael. Of course.
Of course.
And at the end of the book, Helen Hoang does a beautiful little exploration of, I think, diagnosis as an adult with autism. And it's such a sweet, like, way that she is similar, maybe in a way that Taylor processes her life through songwriting. It sounds like Helen really got to express herself and express her journey. Her identity development. We love it. Her affirming her identity through this character. And it's such a sweet, I think it's done a beautiful, from a smut perspective, it's so great.
It's so great.
It's a really great smut book, but it's just really, I think the intersections of identity here are really tender for me and really sweet.
Yes,
I really
it's
enjoy
so
it.
good. And if you are super interested in this book, there are 2 more. So Quan has a book, and then
there's the bride
sister. Yeah, the bride test.
Oh, one of the sisters.
I think so. I think it's Quan has his own book, and then I think it's a sister that has one. So if you like that. I will say, just as my personal opinion, I think this book is the best of the 3.
I have not read the other 2.
Yeah.
Which is telling. Like, this is really an incredible book.
It's really, really good. The other 2 are fine, and they're good, but this one is something special.
Her smut is really good, but it's, I don't know, it connects with her personal experience, and that's why it's got such genuine moments. She's an incredible smut writer, but to also, this is the juxtaposition we are always trying to find in the Smut Club of, like, God in heaven above, let there be an actual story.
Yes.
Characters that we care about and that we are invested in their story arc, and seduce our minds as well as our bodies.
Exactly. That's all we ask for, really.
That is apparently tough to find in the smut world. That's why we have a review podcast to help you find them,
to
listeners.
help you find the ones that will tickle your fancy in just the right way.
Hit the spot just right.
That's right. All right. So for our male main character, Michael Larsen.
Here's what I have to say about Michael Larsen. I thought about this. Michael Larsen does what so many... He's 2 years younger. He's 28. So not that age necessarily... Well, age does have an impact. He is working through some stuff.
Yes, he is.
And he is unsure of his place in this world, and if there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of burdens of like, my dad, and do I matter, and am I going to be just like my dad? And he's working through it. And there's a lot of shame around sex work, and there's just a lot of stuff. Burden of responsibility.
Yes. Which
we love, a burden of responsibility, even when it gets complicated, because it's hot for men to, take responsibility for anything ever. It is immediate turn on when a man acts like a man. And so... Yeah, I think how he handled things and how he grew throughout the book was really compelling, and that is kind of the whole point. We love that. He steps into his own.
Yes. He gets his own business. He starts a business with his cousin, and it's very sweet. So he kind of he has a huge character development.
He really changes dramatically from the beginning. He's always hot and sexy, but he changes in his trajectory in life.
And that's in the way that he thinks about himself, and
his self-concept, his self-efficacy. That's not to say anything about he stopped being a sex worker, and that's good. Like, we're saying that's what he was doing out of necessity,
Right.
and he had a lot of shame about it, and he wasn't enjoying it, and it was not an affirming choice. He was doing it out of a place of shame. He's very good at it. And so it was beautiful to, like, watch him. I don't know. He, if y'all are familiar with the drama triangle, he shifted from, like, a victim standpoint into, like, a choice.
Yeah.
He was like, no,
He's like, I have control over what
agency.
happens to me.
Yeah, I have choice and agents, and a lot of that was because he had his needs met. And so, anyway, there's a lot of complex things here. I loved his story arc.
I agree.
His growth over time, I would say like 4 or 5 stars.
100%. I think beginning of the book, Michael, I mean, in the sheets, he's 5 from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
He doesn't change that much in the bedroom.
In the bedroom, fantastic. That's not the point.
But I think beginning of the book, Michael, he's hovering around a 3, but then by the end of the book, Michael, we've got like a 4 or a 5.
Yeah, which is, when was the last time the MMC was the one who was growing and changing?
Normally our MMC is like our steady, solid, like he's got it together, like securely attached character.
And this wasn't like an annoying degree of immaturity. This was just like he was working through some shit. He'd been through trauma.
Right. He experienced something, or he's currently experiencing something really horrible.
And didn't have access to enough resources and was trying to figure it out. And it was really honest. And I don't know, it's rare for us to really get that in a smut book, especially for the MMC.
Yeah. To
grow and heal as a person. And that is just touched my heart. That was really satisfying.
Yes.
Stella.
5 out of 5. Love her.
I'm not saying it's not that she didn't grow throughout the book, it's that she was already a 5-star.
Yes. I mean,
she was not the problem.
No, she wasn't. She needed someone who understood her. I could don't we all need someone who understands?
She needed someone to affirm and help her bloom.
Yes.
She was not given appropriate conditions to grow into her core self, grow into really who she was.
There was nothing that she needed to change at any point.
That is really important from a perspective of autism, that like she was not the problem.
Right.
If you put her in the right, we could use a million metaphors. This is talked about a lot in these communities, but like put her in the right conditions, she could thrive.
Oh yeah.
We changed her conditions and she was able to step into thriving.
Yes. I love it.
That's why we love this book.
And I love that this book didn't take the route of her like working less or changing how she approaches her life.
So important.
It's like she loves her work. She wants to do it.
So important.
And like Michael's like, yeah, I'll make my little outfits and you make that money, baby. Buy me a Tesla.
It was the most like affirming anti-ableist perspective.
Yeah.
It was such a good like, and it takes someone on the autism spectrum to really speak to this, because she was like, Stella's not the problem, folks.
No.
And that's
she wants to work, she likes it. Let her do it.
She's safe. She's not harming anyone.
Yeah.
She knows what she likes and what she dislikes. Shall we build a world in which that is affirmed and supported instead of changing her to fit into things that aren't true to her? I don't know.
Good.
We can learn so much from the growth story arcs of people trying to find themselves in this culture. Like it's just really powerful.
So good.
I could speak on it for a long time. I will say, if this didn't have great smut, I don't think that we would have had such glowing reviews. It would have been a little. True. But I think having such a great storyline with
so much smut. I want to compare like the percentage of the book that is smut versus the percentage that's not. It's got to be 50-50.
We got to break it down sometime, because this is 50-50 and it's descriptive. What would you rate the smut at?
I mean, as far
it's
as
pretty romantic.
It's romantic. It's sweet. But it is. I mean, it's descriptive. It's pretty explicit.
I think of some of our FMCs in the past who have had like really raucous, fun sex lives, and then are with this like dom character, and then like that is more like explicit usually.
It's like
because
dirty. This isn't dirty. Yeah,
it's not dirty.
Yeah,
but it's really fun.
It's hot. It's super hot.
I think even folks who are into like dirty would be like, oh yeah, this is great. She's gonna be dirty.
Yeah, I mean it's still
reformed rake.
Yes. That's what we like around here, folks.
This is a reformed rake if there ever was one.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, the plot is a 5 out of 5. I love the story here, and there actually is one. There's a full, complete story. If you take the smut out, would the story still be there? Probably not.
He's a sex worker.
Yeah.
But no, like there is actually a story, which is rare. And she's discovering her sexuality. She's discovering what works for her, which I think...
Which is part of the plot. I think that is an important part of the plot.
Identify, and especially young women reading this who are maybe are not as familiar with your sexuality and what you like and what you don't like. Take some notes from Stella.
Yeah.
Make a little lesson plan. Learn.
What do I want to learn about?
Not learning about sex, period, but learning, like, what do I like? Foreplay, all caps, at the top.
With a check box, and you put that between every single thing you do.
Do I like foreplay?
Yes.
Yes, you do. You need it. You like it.
You like it, and you need
Yes. Well, this was, I hope our listeners understand how fun this book is. I'm sure many of y'all have read it. Hopefully this brought back some nostalgia.
Yes. Thank you all so much for listening. We super adore this book. Helen Hoang is just an incredible writer. She knows how to write some freaking smut.
We stand. This is one of those special gems that does get a spot on our smut sticker. It really does. We have a smut sticker of a shelf of books, and Helen Hoang is on there, and that's what inspired us to revisit this one.
Yep.
If you haven't read it, please do. God, it's a great one.
It's so worth it, and it's a quick one. Like you're not going to be
blow right through it.
Yeah, you're not going to be lost in the sauce on that one.
Not wasted time at all.
No.
Next time,
we don't have a drum roll, but if we did, we would do a drum roll right here. We are gonna review. Not Happy Place. No.
So we're never reading Happy Place ever again. If you'd like a reason why, read or listen to our former episode. Not So Happy Place.
Not So Happy Place, yeah. Funny Story by Emily Henry, her brand new one.
Every time you have said funny story, I thought you were about to launch into a story. You said it today in a text, and all you said was funny story, and I just sat there and looked at the thread like, she's going to tell me a story. And just now, I was like, you said funny story, and I'm like, what happened?
What's the funny? I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Well,
funny story.
It was confusing. I was like, next time we can do Emily Henry's new book. It just came out, and then the next text I was like, funny story, and I didn't realize that.
I knew that was the title, and it clicked after a second, but I was like, tell me the funny story.
The funny story?
You capitalized S though, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Tell me. But so Emily Henry's going to tell us a funny story.
I will say
I looked at no spoilers. I know nothing.
Oh yeah, no spoilers. But I will say because I have a physical copy and I was flipping through it, and about page 127 we were kissing throats, which is rare for Emily, and I am looking forward to it.
Emily listened to our feedback,
ma'am. If I see the word Wyndham one time, I swear to God,
I cannot drive past a Wyndham hotel.
No, ma'am.
Without thinking of that book. I don't name a fucking MC Wyndham.
No.
I'm jazzed.
I'm excited too. Yeah, y'all. Don't let Happy Place steer you wrong. We are Emily Henry stans. We have
always.
People we meet on vacation, book lovers, beach read, loved all of those. Happy Place just didn't touch us in the right way in our brains.
It did scratch a lot of people's brains really, really well. Good for them. It was more polarizing though. I think we were all a little polarized.
That one just wasn't for us, and that's okay. But we are really looking forward to Funny Story, and so I really hope that this one. I mean, there's a lot of hype for it, and so I'm excited.
It's fun. We have some local bookstores doing, or they did some release parties. It's been fun.
It's cute.
We're all. I as a Swiftie, I'm into it when other people are into fun things that I'm into.
Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you all so much for listening. You can send us your thoughts, comments, feelings, suggestions to smutisbetterwithfriends@gmail.com, and follow us on socials at smutisbetterwithfriends.
Indeed.
Until next time, it's a wet, hot, sweet potato. Bye.